My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and we are back for Season 4 of the Great Canadian Baking Show.
What's this all about?
Oh,
that's all going to happen again, and it's great.
Oh, the Queen of Accenting is back. Look, for those that are back and have listened to the other series, welcome back. Thank you for returning, and what's wrong with you?
No, thank you. We greatly appreciate you joining us for this wonderful journey.
Why are you being a straight person for a change?
We're about to embark on. Didn't you see our new contract?
Oh, you've got to be sensible, and I'm
and
nutty.
You're nutty.
I'm nutty and wacky.
Yes.
Felching. No,
hey!
Sorry, I stole your word.
That
look,
was not in the contract.
If you've never listened to us before, that would have been a bit shocking. Look,
if you don't know what it means, don't look it up, particularly at work. We aren't a safe for work podcast.
We're very much not. But thank you again. If you've decided to listen to this for the first time, thank you. We've got, obviously, some of you may have found us last week after our interview with the amazing Alan and Anne.
Oh, I'm still giddy after that.
That was spectacular. Also, some people have also listened to our interview we did last year with Bruno.
Yes.
Now, normally you sizzle later on for the podcast to give the information.
Sizzle.
No, I'm not going to sizzle for later on.
Oh, what are you going to do? Just flambe it?
I'm going to flambe it up front.
Okay.
Right. This is obviously our recap of episode number 1, but we're going to give you a special bonus podcast later this week. And the special bonus podcast later this week, ladies and gentlemen, will be Kyla. So we'll be talking to Kyla later on this week. That should drop by the end of the week, so keep your ears open for that. That is going to be such a fun chat.
Yes, and I know everyone squeed at the same time I did.
Yes, everyone did, in exactly the same pitch too.
Yes, we're just harmonising across the world.
So right now, on the other side of the world.
Across the Commonwealth.
Now, for those who have never listened to us before, why are a couple of Australians talking about Canadian Bake Off? And why are they calling it Bake Off? And why are they not calling it,
The Great Canadian Baking Show?
Yes. So, a couple of reasons for this. First of all, why not?
Yeah, it's a great show.
Yes, it's a great show. Like, we bumped into it one day. No.
Just walking down the street or casual
we do.
I'm like, hey, how are you going, CBC? How is that? And they're like, have you met my friend, Great Canadian Baking Show? And
how's that baking show? Yeah. So, no, we've done, obviously we do Great Australian Bake Off. We've done every series that we can of that. Obviously we do Great British Bake Off as well.
Yes.
And Great Canadian Baking Show has become sort of almost the primary thing, actually, in all honesty.
Yes.
And we've done every series of it, and we've talked to a hell of a lot of the bakers, and fingers.
They're like our third family.
Yeah, fingers crossed, more to come.
Our second family is the bakes themselves.
Yes, the bakes themselves are. They're the friends we made along the way. That's what I tend to find. So obviously we do this. We do Australian MasterChef as well, but this is sort of legitimately the most fun that we have podcasting.
And what I love is that they've combined the premiere with Kristie-mas, because we know it's my birthday.
Yes, it is. This week is Kristie-mas's festivities.
I mean, it was Valentine's Day, it was Chinese New Year, Gong Si Fa Kai to everyone. But really, it's the reason for the season. The reason
for the season is indeed Kristie.
Yes.
So we've got a brand new series, and again, especially under really trying circumstances, we know that obviously COVID meant that the audition process was a little bit different this year.
Yeah.
We know that the recording process had a lot of different parts to it as well in terms of safety. They went out of their way to make sure this could happen. And I mean, look, it's handy because, I mean, it does bring joy to so many people. So, and I know that a lot of...
Thank you, production.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, bakers. Thank you, hosts. Thank you, judges, because you all put in a phenomenal effort.
Thank you, linesmen. Thank you, ball boys. So, to get into this...
Thank you, Pavilion.
Thank you, Pavilion. And yes, we will be calling it once again the Pavilion. It is not a tent. So, British Bake Off has the tent. Australian Bake Off has the shed. And, of course, Canadian has the Pavilion. It is a pavilion.
And the baking show, or the bake-off that shall not be named, has the cabana.
Yes, the bake-off that shall not be named across the ditch.
Kia ora.
From us. Yeah, kia ora.
To our
New Zealand friends, but no, won't be named. So anyway, we have 10 bakers this season. Now, I'm going to get the disappointment out of the way first.
Yes.
We have nobody from Regina.
Just, come on.
So...
where's the representation?
So before we start,
we just have to get
in honour of it. I have to get it out of the system. We haven't done it. It's been a while. 1, 2, 3. Regina! Experience Regina, but we can't because no one's from there. So we had to get that out of the way. Now that that's out of the way, we have 10 awesome bakers, and what a first episode to see them.
It was delightful. Now, when we had to do a couple of watches, because the first one, my lovely nephew was here. He's a hairdresser. He was doing my hair. I look very stylish now. And his lovely girlfriend. And they kind of chatted through it. But we were still able to enjoy.
Oh, I took notes all the way through the first bit.
Yeah.
I tuned everybody in the room out. So I took all my notes and tuned everybody else in the room out. I don't know what they said, and I'm not sorry.
But I think we've got a couple of converts. I think we now have at least Katie on board.
We do.
She's totes down for it.
So
she was just like all the buttercream in her face.
So to move into what we're talking about, because I know that therell be some of you out there going, get to it. Just get to it already.
Come on.
So
bakers.
we have 10 bakers.
Yes.
Now we have. I'm just gonna go through the list of who these people are first of all before we get into the episode. So we have Bertie. I love Bertie. Broadway Bertie.
Yes.
I'm just a Broadway birdie, da-na-na-na, learning how to bake a cake. There's going to be a lot of this because obviously, unfortunately, this is the 1 week. So if you don't think I'm going show tunes, you don't know me very well. Jazz hands. I was so pleased, by the way. We need jazz hands, and he gave us jazz hands.
Well,
all the way through.
Tried to give us more jazz hands at the end.
He did at the end.
Yes.
He tried. We have Dominic. Dominic. So the interesting part for me was she's a radio host from Quebec, and you can't tell that she's in media.
No, not at all.
She's a
very
shy,
retiring.
Very retiring, quite
wallflower.
I couldn't get a word out of her.
No. It was like, Anne and Alan where they're just trying to tease a word out.
Her personality was about as big as the pinkness of that cake at the end.
Yes, I was a bit worried the pavilion wouldn't hold her enigmatic self.
It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. We've got Maggie in there. Now, Maggie, awesome to see Maggie. Followed Maggie on Instagram for a little bit, so Maggie's really cool, and it was really good to get to see Maggie in there. We had Mahafi, so
yes,
she's incredible.
She's a traveller. She's like her fucking bakes. Like I said, this is not safe for work.
No, there will be swearing.
So artistic, like just the whole and thoughtful, like just the thought she puts into all the little details throughout the cakes.
So we also have Sheldon.
Oh, Sheldon.
Sheldon is incredible.
Shantae, you stay, Sheldon.
Shantae, you stay, indeed. If you listen to our chat with Anne and Alan, there was a significant amount of Drag Race talk in there.
Yeah.
And had we seen this episode first,
my God,
there would have been a lot more Drag Race talk in there.
Now, after this, we're starting a petition to get Sheldon on Drag Race Canada. I really feel that this should be the next step.
Crossover. What a crossover.
What a crossover, you know?
Then we had Oyax. Oyax's designs in particular, and when we get to it, the showstopper. Oh. My word, what a showstopper that was. We also had Rafikat. I love her.
I love her so much.
I love her. She's amazing. She's wonderful. We also had Tanner. Tanner's really, and again, like none of these people are like, talented outside as well. You've got people playing bloody violin. And,
I know. She's just a classical violinist.
Now I've left two.
Well, Ajax is just like, I'm just an engineer.
I've left two, and I'm going to.
Sheldon's just like, I'm just a drag queen and a software engineer. Like,
I've left two people.
Programmer.
I've left two people to the end.
Okay.
And I've left them to the end deliberately. Because this is the first year.
I know.
That going in, we've really known people.
Absolutely. It's kind of wonderful to see them now on the telly. Angeli and Larry.
Yeah, I saw Angeli and Larry, and by the way, Larry's dog Giza is a superstar.
Yes.
Like they mentioned Giza a few times. When we get to the showstopper, they talk about the cake.
I think Giza's going to hit the dizzying heights of Nimbus.
Giza and Nimbus. This is a superstar crossover.
Absolutely.
So
Mengling.
Yeah, Mengling's dog Nimbus and Larry's Giza. Like they've got to go on the road.
It has to happen.
We need it. We need a tour
in a post-COVID world.
Now we also have
Dogs of Bake Off.
So we also have
expose.
obviously Alan and Anne, our new hosts. Who, by the way, did not feel like new hosts.
No.
They felt like they just knew this format and they knew what to do.
But, just brightness, freshness, loved them.
They were lovely. And especially later on when we get to, Bertie's unfortunate moment. And we talked about it with them actually, not knowing what was happening in this episode. But we talked to them about striking that balance between the humour and the lightness and then being that sudden pick-me-up person. And Anne just struck that beautifully.
I am also expecting Anne to appear on stage with Sheldon when he's in drag.
Oh, God, yes. 100%. As his hype woman.
Yes. the latest member of House of whatever Sheldon's house is.
Exactly. So, and obviously we have Kyla, and we have the one and only Bruno. And my word, those two, just they get better.
Oh, they absolutely do.
They just get better. So let's get into the episode, shall we?
Yes, let's. Finally.
So we start with the signature, and I like the fact they didn't sort of mess around. They, unlike us, got straight in.
I know.
And they got straight in.
No fucking around.
And they got straight in on the idea of...
about.
They were doing a bunt.
No.
Somebody broke the cake.
Yes.
It's okay. I fix cake. Is a bunt. A bunt. A bunt. A bunt. A bunt. Or as Maggie's children call it, a butt cake.
Now... I don't know if it's my hearing, but
I think it was.
The pronunciation I heard from Anne and everyone talking about it, with the I swear I just kept hearing butt cake.
I think you were projecting.
I'm
convinced
because in Australia you say bunt, and then I just kept hearing butt, and then I'm looking and all I'm seeing is every butt cake now.
Look what you've done.
Looks like a bit of a cat's bum,
I was terrified where you were going with that, so thank you for going cat's bum. Anyway.
I'm not going to talk about prolapses as well. I'm just going to talk about cat's bums, because it really was that kind of starry, stripy effect. I mean, much better decorated, don't get me wrong.
Are you comparing the decoration on a bundt cake to a cat's butt?
No, I'm saying they're very different.
Thank you. I was terrified for a minute there. I mean, I thought the Bakers did much better than that.
I mean, I have seen these things, and I think they're a joke thing, where these jewels that apparently you attach to your cat's tail that then hang over the cat's butt so you don't have to see the cat butt. I'm pretty sure it's a joke thing.
I'm terrified for your browsing history and what it means for our internet. So
I think it came up on Facebook.
So that terrifies me, because what have you been searching for? Anyway, any flavour bunt any flavour you want, it must have some form of drizzle or glaze over the top. That was the only rule. And by the way, before we get into what actually happened with their cakes, can I just say Bruno's jacket game? Oh. Absolutely on point. That was superb.
It was classy early 60s Vegas, I feel. Yeah. Just that.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
Yeah.
Ring-a-ding-ding, Bruno. Ring-a-ding-ding. So...
less of the Rat Pack, more of the cool cat pack.
So they all were looking...
sans butt jewels.
So they were looking at the different shaped tins that they had. Mm-hmm. And Larry... I love you, man. I really do.
He really took Huey Lewis and the News to heart.
It's hip to be square. Except it wasn't that hip. And I'm not going to lie, we looked at each other the first time and we sort of had a conversation around, is that going to cook evenly?
Yeah.
Didn't. But...
it looked great.
It looked...
and I liked the kind
square.
of art deco.
It was very art deco.
Look around it.
It was something that wouldn't have looked out of place, in an America just about to hit the Great Depression.
I think it might have worked better if the hole in the middle was actually a square hole. I think it was still a round hole, and I think that's what got the...
I thought it looked, to be honest with you, because it was because it was square. It actually looked
rectangle.
It actually looked a little bit to me like it was. It actually looked a little bit to me like it was there for a sandcastle. And I'm wondering if he actually mistook the idea of it being a bunt tin, and it was actually just there for sandcastles, and Larry just got mixed up.
Well, he was too busy walking Giza. Yeah. And then he's gone, oh, shit. And then his son's gone, don't worry, Dad, I've got this great metal
sandcastle bucket. We're great. We're sorted.
Yeah. Give it a rinse out.
So Mahaffey was started with a rose and saffron cake.
And we were a bit worried. It's like, oh, rose.
Cardamom, and saffron. Now, yeah, that's always a worry. Look, it's brave to start with rose.
But as it was pointed out, this is based on a traditional Indian dessert.
Yes.
So obviously she's very familiar.
Yes, gulab jamun. So
with the balance of the quantities that go into balance.
True, but we've also all seen Bake Off, and it doesn't matter how familiar you are with. Like, have you used Rose before? Of course, I've used Rose before. Cut 2. All I can taste is a garden.
Yes.
So there was a moment when they mentioned that, and I went, ooh, but it never came up again. They never bothered to come up again. I'm like, oh, here comes a little pot. No, not really. Sheldon. Now, Sheldon went with the fermented sweet rice with then the red bean paste.
So it's a product that's halfway to being rice wine.
Yes.
But it's not.
So it's the sort of boozy baker. It's the boozy bake you have when you're not having a boozy bake.
Yes.
Like when you're kind of having a boozy bake.
When you're too busy for a boozy bake, you go for a half boozy. Almost a boozy.
When you've got to drive home from your bake,
yes,
make it a quasi-boozy bake.
Yes. So.
That's the way he does it. And more importantly, they then talked a little bit about his Asian drag family in Vancouver, which did lead to Anne, again, being that cheerleader by going, be the fierce queen that you are.
And then the simultaneous work.
Yeah, work. So Bertie. Now, Bertie started with Memories of Cuba, and I was 100% here for any time you've got dolce de leche. I am here for dolce de leche. You know full well.
You will just get a tin of it and just down it.
Oh.
You'll just scull it.
Oh, scull it. It's just, I absolutely
Rip
adore.
Off the top and scull it.
Look, I wouldn't have cared what happened with the rest of Bertie's bake. He would have won because that was fantastic. And he also then, I got jealous of him because he joked around about the idea of shots of Cuban coffee in his baby's bottle when he was young. And I'm sitting there going, I wouldn't have minded that.
Look, Bertie, I feel you. You had Cuban coffee, very sophisticated, and yes, that would have been yours, but I think it wouldn't have been a shot, just been straight, just a long black.
Oh, yeah.
Cut to my mum, so 80s. Mine was a bottle of Coca-Cola. I shit you not. There is photographic evidence of me barely 2 years of age. Like, I'm still in diapers, sitting down, and I've got this, and I'm with 3 other girls who I was born in hospital with at the same time, and they never let me live this down. They've all got their bottles full of milk, and mine's got fucking Coke Zero in it. Not Coke Zero.
Would have been Coke Zero.
Full on
Coke. It didn't exist yet. You know.
I'm just getting carried away. It's like, no wonder why I'm just a hyperactive, crazy kid these days.
Meanwhile, they cut over to Dominic. I'm sorry, you're going to get really annoyed with us for doing that. And you know what? I'd like to apologise, but it's really fun.
Yes.
So it was a walnut bunt with maple liquor, and that's where they were like, so maple liqueur, and they're like, what's going on with the maple liqueur? Do you make this at home?
Is it moonshine?
Why, sort of, yes, I do. I make this. And Bruno got really excited about how strong the maple liqueur was going to be. Cut to the tasting where he's like, I really wanted to taste it and I couldn't taste the damn thing.
Is it less moonshine in Canada because it's closer to the north and more Aurora Borealis shine?
AB shine, which is Alberta shine, really, if you think about it. Anyway, then we go to Larry. Now, Larry had rum and apricot and fig. So boozy bakes, and Larry would have known about our habit of talking about boozy bakes a lot, and we did talk about boozy bakes a lot, and sure enough, the first real boozy baker we got here is Larry.
I know. Now, I did notice our other friend of the show, Anjali,
yes,
is also boozed up her bake, and I'm like,
about this.
They're both like, look, we're going for the title. Great start, guys.
They want the boozy baker.
They want the boozy baker.
And guys, we appreciate the fact you want boozy baker, and we're here for it.
Who doesn't want it?
100%. At this point, they interrupted all of this to talk about. There's always someone who does something really obviously stupid on day one.
Yeah.
Sheldon forgot to put sugar in his cake.
Oh,
Now,
it's that whimsy.
by the way,
it's the Jude whimsy.
It's the Jude whimsy coming in because again, Jude did forget sugar. And this is, again, it's not a first, it will not be a last. No. Everybody forgets something very early on.
The whimsy of Jude, much like the
whimsy blows through the pavilion.
Yes. As they talked about Slimer being the, what's it called, the spirit of John Belushi, or in Ghostbusters.
Yes,
the whimsy
of Jude. The gluttony of the ghost of John Belushi is what they refer to it as.
Yeah, so that's Slimer, but in a more beautiful, like I imagine
it's the
thing would be like
it's
a
the
cute
heart
little
of
pumpkin
it's the heart of the whimsy of Jude.
Yes, it would just be like little pumpkin with wings.
So everybody, if you forget something,
pixie shoes.
If you forget something while you're in the pavilion,
yes,
don't think of it as being horrible. think of it as the heart of the whimsy of Jude.
Yep.
That's what's blowing. It's blowing across the pavilion because they've probably left the doors open a little bit.
Exactly. And it will bless you with creativity and like the passion for Canada, but it may also make you forget a few things. A few side effects with the whimsy of Jude.
Oyax also managed to use liqueur. He used an orange liqueur with chai. But forget that. The first thing we see of Oyax really in there is the sugar crown that he made. And it wasn't tiny. It was huge.
Jesus, Roosevelt Christ, to coin an Outlander term.
Well done.
That was quite profound. Like, I'm just... it took me a moment to go, okay, this is week 1, task 1, and he's pulling that out.
It was unbelievable. Like, the quality was amazing.
And I like the ombre effect of it. Like, I was looking at going, oh, it's purple, but it's also, like, kind of sheer on the outside. It looked like
the tone
crystalline.
The tone was incredible. We got Tanner.
It's like an amethyst, my birthstone.
There you go. He was making you a birthstone.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Tanner was citrus and floral. It was grapefruit and elderflower.
I was there for that. I'm like,
you were very much there for elderflower.
I'm like, give me a little G&T on the side of that, and we're
friends.
Yeah.
You're friends. And that's when they cut to him just casually playing the violin as you do. Now Maggie was talking about the fact that she's got those really harsh critics at home, the kids.
Yes.
And the lemon and blueberry. And by the way,
I'm talking about these harsh, kids at home, and then cut to her kids who look like picture perfect,
the sweetest,
gorgeous.
nicest kids in the world. And the lemon and the blueberry are like, and again, you know me and blueberry. I'm here for blueberry. And it was really interesting as well because my only concern was something that they mentioned in the judging, where they were talking about the idea of the spread of the blueberries, which quite often they can sink. And like they were worried about that, but when they cut it open, the blueberries had balanced out beautifully and they were spread evenly all the way through. So a lot of talent to get that one done.
And for me, like Maggie has this Terry-esqueness to her.
Very much so.
The spirit of Terry is coming through Maggie. So I'm now trying to work out which TV show she's from. Because as we know, Terry, like a thinly disguised Terry Irwin.
Exactly. We'll have to put it out there. What show do you think Maggie's from? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. No. Yes.
Canada's Next Top Model.
Anjali.
Yes.
All right, so Anjali, now, again, we talked about boozy, and sure enough, a bourbon glaze on a peach tea and lemon with marzipan decorations, because, why not?
Why not? Just the first little bake.
And the first conversation we got, really, with Anne and one of the sort of, outside of the work, comment, was when she was talking about the Anjali's penchants to procrastinate.
Yes. Why do a PhD when you can procrastinate?
Yeah, I like to procrastinate. And, I think that needs to be more used widely in the community.
Having seen a lot of my friends, during their journeys with PhDs and the shit they've gotten up to, like taking up LARPing and really getting invested in their costuming, or what else is there? Adopting kittens. It's just, for me, I think procrastinating is possibly the better option. I saw with the LARPing far too much hot glue gunning action, and with the kittens, well, you can only have so many kittens before it becomes just
That's weird. Anyway, and Rafikat with her lime and the lime and the toasted coconut balance. Oh, I'm here for it. Now, Bertie at this point, they cut to Bertie at this point. It was trying to get everyone. Then was trying to get the bunts out. Now you got to remember, the first episode is always really rushed, right? Unlike this podcast, the first episode is really rushed because you're just meeting everybody and everyone's in there. So it's meet. Bake is done.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of time in the bakes. As we get later on in the series, you get a lot more time to actually focus on the bakes. We did get things like, again, Bertie was working on his one-man show, where he was singing to the bunt about coming out of the tin, tapping on the back of it and singing about "Don't spill on the floor, please." I really hope that he got enough.
Bertie, the musical.
I hope he got enough. I'm
Bertie,
assuming
the bakesicle.
I'm assuming that he's going to go with, again, I think Burlington Bertie from Beau. I think that's a really good, he's Burlington Bertie. He rises at 10:30 and potters around Temple Bar.
Is this going to be in accompanying to Listen to Your Bakes, or like a competing show?
I think there's enough room for national tours. I think there's enough room for a national tour.
Double act.
No, I think you can have two competing national tours that can go opposite ends of the country.
That's true.
I think, again, it's a big world, and when COVID ends, people are going to want entertainment, and I think we're prized We're primed to have
Listen to
two
your
different shows. Listen to your bakes and the Bertie one-man show, Burlington Bertie from Bo.
Bertie the Bakesicle is what I'm saying.
I think it'll be really good. Look, I think it will be fantastic, and I'm sure that Bertie's got enough material now to run with. It's obviously going to play into his love of the Tony Awards, which we'll come to in his showstopper. But I did a bit of deep diving, and please let me know if you're listening to this, Bertie. Please let me know. Am I right in thinking you attended the Hamilton Tonys? Because I'm pretty sure when I counted backwards, you attended the Hamilton ones.
Speaking of which, work, just like the synergy, there's Anne and Sheldon saying work, and then he's at the Tonys with Hamilton, where they, looking for a mind at work. I won't say too much because Lin-Manuel Miranda will.
He'll sue. He's very litigious, that man. He does not at all does he allow people to go, no, he's fine. He's great. And then Sheldon, obviously, with adding the theatrics to it, which may be part of the staging for Bertie's one-man show. He might actually have dancers. Sheldon could be part of this. When he said, a queen loves drama.
Yes. And Alan got a bit of a boogie on.
Yep. I think that, look, it may not be a one-man show. He might be writing Bake Off the musical. We've talked about this before.
Yes.
But Bertie, if anyone could do it, I think Bertie's our person.
And, he probably volunteered to go first out because he's like, inspiration has struck, the muses are out.
I've got to write.
I
don't have time to bake.
Yeah.
I don't have bread week. I don't have time for bread week. I've got to write a musical.
But please send me some pretzels.
Exactly, 100%. So the judging. Tanners, they said they can taste the grapefruit, and they were worried they wouldn't be able to, but then they said it was absolutely beautiful. Mahaffey, they said it was well executed and very fragrant. Larry's, unfortunately, was slightly under, and they said it lacked a little bit of finesse. I'm sorry, but again, just to remind you, Kyla, informal. The correct bake-off term is informal. Informal.
A little rustic.
Yes, rustic. Maggie, they said it had a really good distribution of blueberries, but they wanted a little bit more flavour in there. And that was the interesting thing for me tonight, was I was expecting a lot of conversations around too much flavour or too strong. Most of the comments were the flavour's not strong enough. We need more. And in every challenge, most of it was, when you do this, I need more of it.
Yes.
So, which does change this up from, some of the other versions where they want less flavour, not more of the flavour.
I do think, though, that they need someone in who we know is COVID negative to make sure that
Make sure it's not a problem? Yeah, that could be an issue. So, Dominique, they said the leaf on top looked absolutely great, but again, more maple. And they're like, you made this maple liqueur. I really wanted to taste it. I'm sure that in the back of his mind there was just this thought in the judging process from Bruno going, I just want to tap it and just sort of a hose and just down it.
Bunt. So she could have put a mini keg of maple liqueur in the middle with a little hose at the top.
Yard glass. Oh, yeah. Yard glass.
And then you just tap it. Switch on the tap.
So, again, I'm assuming in Canada you have yard glasses, but if you don't, a long cylindrical yard glass in the middle of the bunt, just full of maple liqueur. This could have been fantastic. God, you would have tasted it. You wouldn't have tasted anything else.
Bunts could you fit on a yard glass? If the hole's big enough, you could just slip them down the yard glass.
And then if you get drunk enough, it becomes a game of quoits. The yard glass becomes the peg, and you're lobbing the bunts and trying to, suddenly you're on a cruise ship. But you're throwing bunts at a yard glass. That's not a phrase I ever thought I'd say. Moving on. Rafficat, so they said the lime flavour was absolutely beautiful and it was really refreshing. And I love the way Kyla put this, though. She goes, it needed more glaze. You need to have more glaze so that everybody can have some glaze. And I like that she made it about sharing. It's really nice, but we can't share it. Not everyone gets it. Oyax, the flavour was great, but the sugar work in particular was amazing. Anjali, they said it looked like the happiest cake ever. And it did. It was very bright. It was very colourful.
Is that because they said that before they tasted it, so they weren't even boozed up?
No. And then they said that it had a very nutty flavour. It was very nutty, apparently. Bertie, they said it looked slightly rushed. Now, this was the other thing, because we have discussed boozy bakes before with the host and with Bruno. And Bruno's comment to him was, so this is a Cuban-inspired cake? Yes. Where's the rum? And Kyla looked at him like, you really should have gone with rum, you know. And he just looked at him and goes, I should have just soaked the thing in rum, in all honesty. And he should have. Like, he could have made it a rum barber bunt. Like, because a rum barber is basically a small version of a bunt.
Yeah.
So just make a large bunt, but a rum barber. That could be fantastic. That could be great.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too.
We're here for a lot of things tonight.
Bertie wasn't, but we were.
Yes.
Sheldon. They said the Sheldon's, because of the rice texture in there, it was light and fluffy like a brioche.
Oh. Just wow.
And like you can just see Bertie going, I can't believe a French chef just said to me, that's like a brioche.
And for me, like, you know, like, I don't know if they told the bakers when it would be released, but, you know, we had the Valentine's Day, you know, the Cupid cake later on. But then he's done this, you know, very clearly like Chinese inspired cake. Yes. And it's Chinese New Year.
I assume he probably worked that out because they did tell them that it was Valentine's Day. So I'm assuming that they worked backwards. The technical. So the technical was the Cupid cake. Mm-hmm. Now,
You think it's a made-up thing, but I looked it up, and
you found
Dairy Queen?
You found one in Dairy Queen. Yeah. Look, I'm not negative about it.
I just thought Dairy Queen was an ice cream place.
I thought, no, it's far more than that. I
have to investigate this Dairy Queen.
So here's the thing, right?
I guess she's all dairy-based. Yes. Because she is the queen of dairy.
Yeah, so why wouldn't she have everything with dairy?
Yeah, like yogurt.
Think it up. Sour cream.
Frogut.
Banned it for sour cream. Dairy Queen. Banned it for sour cream. That's their new slogan. Banned it for sour cream. So, look, I thought that there was I thought that the cake itself was a bit meh. Milk. But I thought that what they were doing in terms of the technique they were after was excellent. So I have no problem with it as a technical because I thought that they needed to be able to make the thin cakes. They needed to be able to roll them up and not have them crack and break. They needed to make the really good buttercream to make sure that it held together. So there was a lot of technique involved. So I understand it, but I don't also... It looked far too sickly sweet for me to ever want to eat it.
And that's why...
There was a lot of cream.
Like, I could just see Bruno and Kyla just taking the tiniest little forks to taste.
Breaking it apart.
I could just see them going, by the end of this, we're going to be either in a sugar coma or hyperactive, bouncing around the pavilion.
So I think it was 2 hours for the technical. And once again, there were missing parts. Now, before we get into the technical, I need to talk about the drinking game.
Yes.
So, Canada, you've been granted the drinking game this year because, you know, like we're doing this podcast. We're doing this podcast basically day of, and we love you. So the drinking game is yours. Enjoy it, live with it, and run with it. So...
You don't have to drink. You can have your favourite snack.
Yep.
In Australia, we'd suggest Cheezels. I don't know what your equivalent is. Maybe Cheetos.
Yep, so you work one of those. So Baker says
jump on a website, order yourself some Aussie Cheezels.
Do that. I'd definitely do that.
And when you order them, you got to, like, when you open the packet, you then got to put them on your fingers and then eat them off your fingers. You'll see what we mean.
Anyway, Baker says I've never made this bake before. No one said that. No one actually said that.
I've never made a Cupid cake or anything.
No. Yeah. And distracts a baker. Look, I'm going to give that, but because it wasn't a negative distraction, though. It was a positive distraction.
When she was comforting.
When she went over to help Bertie.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to say, if you didn't have a drink for that, you owe us one. Showstopper disaster. Speaking of Bertie, have a drink. The technical has less than 5 instructions. I think there was slightly more, although they left. Slightly. It was very slight. We might need to get confirmation from somebody who did it. I know for a fact they didn't say how thick the layers had to be.
Or how long
and they didn't say how long they had to bake for.
Yeah.
So that wasn't there. Bruno and Kyla disagree over a flavour profile. No, they were fine all night. Baking pun...
There was more of a pun about the actual, not even a pun.
No, they weren't really puns.
It was just like I'm hoping that Anne and Alan come to the pun party later on.
Ain't no party like an Alan and Anne pun party because an Alan and Anne pun party won't stop.
Yes,
when it starts, which it hasn't started yet. So we assume it won't stop.
Yes. When it gets started, it won't stop.
You try stopping that thing when it rolls.
We've just got to get it started. So they just got to grease the wheels, get the puns going. She did say during the Cupid challenge, you know, sweethearts, but that was more of a reference to the theme.
Baker helps another baker. Oh, yeah, that happened. Rafficat, we're going to talk about that.
That's when we lost our heart to you.
Right. Innuendos. Oh, they were all over the place. Like, they were more subtle than normal, but they were there. We'll get into those.
there.
Alan removes his hat. I think I can leave that square on there every week. And I think none of you are going to drink.
No. I think we need to at least have one square that is guaranteed.
Alan tips his cap. Might be closer, but that might be closer. All right, so... Again, we had, I said, actually turns around and goes, I'm just going to pretend I know what I'm doing, which was perfect. Now, Larry then started explaining the cake to Alan, which was great because he's like doing the rolling and you've got to take it and you roll it and you compress it up and the lines are going to be straight. And then they had cut to Kyla, who exactly explained the same thing to the camera. So it was almost like she watched Larry and went, it's just what he said.
Alan did make a pun of sorts, going, you need to get a roll on.
Yeah, I will give you that. Okay, drink for that one.
Okay.
Anjali also was asked about the missing steps, and Alan turns around and goes, so are you used to baking things with missing steps? And her response was, why would that even exist? It's probably the most fair question ever asked.
I'd like to see a fill-in-the-blanks recipe book. Just, step 1, 50 grams of...
Insert here. And you've got to work it out. It's great. What could be good with this is everyone ends up with a different recipe.
It'd be like a...
Better than the original, possibly.
Recipe Sudoku. Just grid it out.
I'm here for it.
And 9 things have to fit into each, thing. But...
Dear Great Canadian Baking Show production, next year, feel free to take this as a challenge.
Yes.
Baking Sudoku. Right? We give you a recipe... We give you 9 terms. You have to make them all fit evenly in the recipe, and whatever comes out is what you've baked. Right? You are welcome. The baking Sudoku. This is a revolutionary idea. They didn't give them a cook time either, which was great. We had people going, I'm going for 7 minutes. We had people going, I'm going for 20 minutes. And then they cut over the top with 15 minutes is the correct cooking time. And again, Dom, at this point, Dominique, every time she opened the oven, you could tell she works in media. She's like, that is such a huge personality, and in the best possible way.
Absolutely, she's a delight, and I love that she used sparkles in the next challenge. Just saying.
I know, she was incredible. And then they cut, and Maggie's trying to roll over, and she's like, he got caught on my rack, and the 3-year-old in me tittered. There was a little bit of a tittering going on there. And then they cut back to Bertie, and poor Bertie was having a week. Goes, I think one of them is really good, and the other one is not okay. And you're like, no. Bertie. And sure enough, when they did the judging of Bertie's, they were like, that was a bit...
You can see him trying to roll, and it was kind of more of a fold.
It was a fold instead. Now, can I just say, before we get to the ruby chocolate, because that's going to be its own conversation here, when they got to the rolling them up, I have never... in my life, witnessed an uglier bake.
It really...
It's not pretty.
When you're assembling it,
it's like the toddler's been let loose in the kitchen with, bits of cake and buttercream. And it's like, I put something together, Mummy, look at my cake. And you're like, very nice, dear. And then you throw it in the bin.
Yes, it's like when the toddler's got the Play-Doh, and they've got the white Play-Doh and the red Play-Doh and
the stovetop and the fake stovetop.
They just mashed it together. And
I baked.
This is the thing that gets me with Play-Doh. And maybe I'm not too... I'm probably a bit pedantic, and it's fucking Play-Doh, for God's sake. But it's like when I see kids mashing it together, I'm like, you can't do that. You can't just put it... Or when they put it back in the tub and they put the wrong colour lid on it. I'm like, well... What if next time you want the orange, but the orange is hidden away in the purple lid? How are you going to know? I just don't think kids should be allowed Play-Doh. They don't have the intelligence or the care for responsibility for Play-Doh.
Is this just because you'd like some Play-Doh?
It's my birthday on Friday. I'm not saying I would enjoy
Sorted.
Particularly with one of those, you remember the little machines you can put the Play-Doh through and produce something at the end.
You've got a clay roller, you can use that.
Oh yeah, actually I'll just play with my poly clay.
Okay, you got poly clay. Somebody destroyed my pasta maker.
Fuck off.
By rolling poly clay through it.
Look, I've got one now, specifically for poly clay.
I don't have a pasta roller anymore. So, tempering ruby chocolate.
You don't have it yet.
Now, first of all,
buy you one.
The tempering of chocolate, we always talk about this. This is a skill you need to have on Bake Off.
Yeah.
If you're going on any version of Bake Off, you know how to temper chocolate.
Yeah.
Straightforward.
But ruby chocolate.
Okay. Ruby chocolate is the work of the devil. I am even one of these people that I like white chocolate. You know, that's a controversial statement to make online. And trust me, the mentions tell me that's a really controversial statement to make. However,
You really are the original Milky Bar kid.
if there was a hill that I would die on,
It's milk chocolate. White chocolate.
it's ruby chocolate being atrocious.
I don't enjoy it. I kind of think you can get the same effect by dipping your strawberries in chocolate, like real chocolate.
I really dislike ruby chocolate.
It tasted too fruity to be chocolate.
Yeah,
it's like being chocolate that's healthy.
But it didn't taste...
It's not healthy
But it
for
didn't
you.
taste like fruit either. It just tasted... It had this weird... It's got a weird flavour to it.
It's on the same level as carob.
Oh, no, nothing's on carob's level.
What?
Carob's on its own planet.
Okay, so it's beyond the rings of hell.
It's beyond the rings of hell, yes.
Okay.
Yes, very much on beyond the rings of hell. I'm not a big fan of it. Look, it looks pretty. I wouldn't eat it, but it looks pretty. That's all I'll give. I'll give you that. So in the judging, just to sort of run through this, because I don't go through all of this, although I do tell you the order, we noticed that Tanner didn't ice the top of his cake.
Which...
It's an ugly cake, so I would have.
Yeah, like I would have, and particularly when you're putting like just wax some more chocolate hearts on
When
top.
it's supposed to be vertical layers too, we're supposed to the stripes, you should probably hide those on the top.
Yeah.
Maggie did try to hide the cake with ruby chocolate.
She's like, if I just stack the chocolate
She
over
did a
it.
pour. Like she did. Like in
perhaps
preparation.
no one will notice.
In preparation for the mirror glaze challenge later on, she tried to do a mirror glaze pour over the top to hide it. And Bruno just says right after the judging, it feels like someone was trying to hide something with this.
Note to self: don't ask Maggie to help me hide bodies.
However, she just pours ruby chocolate on them.
She just panics.
There's an arm out of the ground
You know,
covered in ruby chocolate.
I'm like, oh fuck, we don't have time. It's gonna have to be a shallow grave. She's like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? And she gets some ruby chocolate. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Help me dig. And she's like, don't worry, I'll cover it.
Pouring ruby chocolate over it.
No one will see a thing.
And again, I think a theme we're going to see in this series is Sheldon's decorations are awesome. Like, his hearts looked amazing. And look, I think the judges can pretty much work out early on what his ones are.
I mean, he's going to have some really good, technique that if you need, like, fine motor skills involved in it. Because look at his fucking makeup that you have to do for drag. Like, that involves a steady hand, precise lines, and a lot of gorgeousness. So I just presume it's going to transfer. Like, these same skills are going to transfer to his bakes.
So Bertie was 10th. He had several disasters going on there. Maggie was 9th. Anjali was 8th. Tanner was 7th. Dominique was 6th. Larry was 5th. Sheldon was 4th. Oyax was 3rd. Mahathi was 2nd. And Rafikat.
Oh,
Hers was beautiful. It
Killing
looked
it.
incredible.
yep.
And that gets us to the showstopper, which was a Cascade Mirror Glaze. So a Cascade Mirror Glaze, multi-tier, and the glaze must cascade.
And, like, the thing I love about mirror glazes is it's like when you go down that YouTube craft
Rabbit hole, yeah.
rabbit hole and you come to the pour acrylics. I don't know if you've seen
Yes,
those.
I have.
Yeah. And you can just sit there, like, when you can't sleep for hours, just watching pour acrylics because you're like, oh, this is going to be beautiful. And it turns out ugly. And you go, oh, this is not going to work. And it turns out beautiful. And
Mirror glazes always turn out beautifully.
I know.
Even a bad mirror glaze is still a good mirror glaze.
Absolutely.
So we had this idea of 3.5 hours. Now, I was really happy with this as the first challenge because you want something for your first showstopper that's going to look impressive. And if you're doing a mirror glaze, you really can't go wrong with the idea of it.
No.
So we got a cut to Anjali again who goes, it's a 3-tiered mirror glaze cake. Yes, it is scary.
And this is where I just fell in love with Anjali. Just that fighting spirit, that you know, social justice spirit. I fucking adore it, and I think we should all be more fired up.
So her spiced cakes.
Make change.
So she had the ginger spice cake, and then she didn't just stick with the ginger spice cake. She also went with a black pepper buttercream.
Like, did you know koalas are going to go extinct in the next 20 to 30 years because Australia just doesn't appreciate what they have? Like, I stayed at a koala sanctuary.
I was about to say, you went to a koala sanctuary, didn't you?
And I became very passionate because these things don't hurt anyone. They just want to eat some gum leaves and make weird noises when you're trying to have a nice quiet bevy on your veranda in your glamping tent. And just the poor little fuckers, you know. Just so if you can, just help a koala out.
Help a koala out, or maybe
make a mirror glaze koala,
or maybe try a black pepper buttercream, just because Anjali would have. And that's what Anjali would want.
It is what she wants. Just inhale the spirit of justice.
Inhale the spirit of justice
with pepper buttercream.
Anyway, okay. Ruffy Cat.
Sorry, love.
So Ruffy Cat, chocolate and vanilla sponge.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah,
fucking koalas.
No, I'm not killing koalas. It wasn't me.
No.
Ruffy Cat, chocolate and vanilla sponge with the chocolate and hazelnut buttercream. And as Kyla said later on in the judging, it tasted exactly as it looked, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That mirror glaze, my word.
Gorgeous.
Like, it was incredible. Shelton. Now, Shelton went with the...
I'm sorry, I have to stop you there. I was waiting for you to go with the Anjali, and there were flames shooting.
Well, I was going to get back to that when we get to the pour.
Okay, all right.
Because when she pours the fire was when I was going to get there. So.
Okay, sorry. Can't let you get past a Clue reference.
So Shelton with elderflower and honey buttercream and the Georgia O'Keeffe inspired look.
Look, Sheldon, I'm presuming you don't have a lot of to do with Georgia O'Keeffe's subject matter, like the base of it, like what she based it on. I just feel that flower could have been a little bit more Yoni-like.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
I know where you're going with this.
Just some more vagine, just more vagine in your cake.
She wants to look like a vagina. Anyway,
well, technically it's a labia, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Just more labia to your cake.
Hi, audience, for the last time.
Definitely.
So, Tanner.
Definitely been a long time.
Tanner, let's class it up with Tanner because Tanner went with Monet's water lilies.
Oh, Tanner, the way he explained how he goes to, when he was living in New York, he'd go to the Museum of Modern Art and sit in the water lilies gallery. I was there with him. Like, I love doing that. There's a favourite place of mine at the National Gallery in Canberra. If anyone gets to Australia, gets down there, it is an outdoor, interactive artwork. Basically, it looks like a Hobbit mound. And you walk in, and it's called the Sky Dome, and you walk in, and it is like water on clay, and you keep walking in, and you go into this little room, and you sit in this dome, and all you can see straight upwards is like the sky, and it is just amazing. So I feel you, Tanner. I am there with you. So my cake would be based on that.
My problem with this...
Poorly executed, it would be more like a bad bunt.
My biggest problem with this was, unfortunately, it went with banana pistachio, and I'm not a big banana fan. No. And by the way, there were two people who went with banana for their cake, and it didn't go well.
No.
Banana turns out very soggy. That's what she said. No time. Banana. But that's what she said. 18 sticks of butter, by the way, in Sheldon's buttercream.
Look, I just don't think you did enough.
I mean, he was making a tower, and that's what he said. It's a tower. You need to construct it.
Look, I just don't think the Dairy Queen would be happy with only 18 sticks of butter. Like,
no.
You should extend yourself.
Hello, Bertie. Well, hello, Bertie. It's so nice to have that cake where it belongs. It's looking swell, Bertie, I can tell, Bertie, but keep your eyes on that pot before it boils over. No, sorry. So, look, Bertie's Hello Broadway cake. Now, it was designed champagne and strawberries, and it was shaped like going to be shaped like a Tony Award at the top. Now, my question was, where was the sugarwork Neil Patrick Harris swinging off the top of the Tony?
Come on. No. We need to represent Hugh Jackman.
No, but Hugh Jackman would just be standing at the front of it. Okay. Neil Patrick Harris, remember,
he would be, yes,
hung off the bloody thing.
That's true, yes.
Swinging around off the back of the greatest opening to the Tonys ever.
Okay.
So it has to be...
Give it to NPH.
It has to be NPH. So, can't tell this is a Broadway household. Anyway, Cause we made pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. We'll come back to that because we'll just talk about that in the judging.
We'll just like that.
Because there's no need to talk about it anywhere but the judging.
No, he has it in hand.
My half made her champagne passion fruit and banana, which was based on the waterfalls that she'd said she'd visited. So you start off with the Victoria Falls and had the edible moss on the outside. And that design was superb.
Look, I am really glad she didn't listen to TLC and she decided to go chasing
She chased that waterfall, yeah.
Because...
And, like, as Bruno said, what really looked good about it was that the cakes looked like they were rocks that had actually been eaten away by the waterfall, the way that she shaped them. That was incredible. Like, the detail on those cakes was superb.
Oh, I loved it. Between the water lilies and the waterfalls, I could have been in my mermaid suit.
100%.
But I would be in between it. Just cake and waterfalls and water.
And then Larry recaptured my heart with what is basically, look, partially an ode to child, but far more importantly an ode to Giza. And and he went with the cake, which was, first of all, there was chocolate coconut. Fantastic. Fine. Good. Wonderful. Bacon and peanut butter. And that's Giza's birthday cake.
Which I remember when our Leo was a puppy, I'd get a Kong and I'd stuff it with peanut butter, and there was occasionally times there'd be leftover bacon or ham and I'd just chuck that down there, and that's the memories that brought back.
Yes, exactly. And again, just quickly for the Canadian audience who might only tune in for this, unfortunately Leo died last year.
Yes, he's gone to the big old backyard in the sky.
Or more realistically, our backyard.
Yes.
Next to the pool with a statue of him on top of it.
And I just have to say, like, Facebook, how crazy is your data mining? Because without, like, this Rhodesian Ridgeback statue just popped up on my Facebook feed, and I haven't mentioned anything. And I'm like, well, this is perfect to pop his ashes under.
Yep.
And
now, obviously...
Now I'm
Leo's proudest moment, of course, in the podcast was, of course, travelling over with us to Canada, to the car park, of course, of the Casino Regina, where he served as our interviewer and our host, our guest chaperone in and out of the casino, and of course managed to get us out of debtor's prison. So we owe him a great debt of thanks, literally a debt of thanks. So Maggie then made what was referred to as an upcake. Now, I know it's about the movie. It wasn't a rude gesture. It was an upcake.
It was an up and away, not an up yours.
Yes, exactly. Salted caramel, lemon and strawberry. And they were like, do those flavours go together? And she's like, I've got 3 kids. Of course those flavours go together.
Look, that with some bubble gum.
Everything goes together. They've got 3 kids.
Popcorn.
Now...
Hell, even like, they don't have Vegemite, but, a Nutella sandwich.
So what we had as well then was, and Dominique made a red velvet. Now... The red velvet cake, and this was something they commented on, was very plain. This was the comment that was made. And it is, but the way she did the decoration on the outside was superb. And as you pointed out, her use of the glitter.
And when she goes, I just had to bring this. It's a bit like, who was the pink lady from Great British? Just had to have signature pink. And here comes Dominique with her signature glitter, I'm going to say. Just
glitter everywhere.
Yes.
Glitter everywhere.
I presume afterwards, Sheldon just popped over and just went,
can I borrow that?
Can I borrow that?
Can I have some?
I need to fix my eye makeup.
I also loved Alan being taught the Russian piping by Dom. Now, the hand gestures, that fits the innuendo category all on its own because, whoa, there was that's a gif.
I'm pretty sure in my formative years I read about that hand gesture in Cosmopolitan.
Anyway.
10 ways to,
pipe Russian
ignore
piping.
your own needs, really.
Pipe Russian piping.
Pipe Russian piping.
So we then got the challenge of making them all stand up. Now, Larry was clever. He used dowel. Sheldon decided to use jelly. Now, of the two that are structurally integral, dowel, jelly.
Now, it wouldn't even need Oyeks to tell us that, dowel is going to be more structurally, rigid than possibly jelly. I mean, I can't see Oyeks going to university and
engineering degree,
and doing jelly 101.
Oh, probably not. And funnily enough, Sheldon's attempt to rest the cake on jelly had the expected result. And he turns around, it slides, and he goes, and just puts it back, and it slides again, and he puts it back, and it slides again, and I'm like, we know how this ends. We all know how this ends. And then everything got distracted because we suddenly heard and they cut to the back, And poor Bertie had the burning boil over going on. Now, I felt really bad for him. He was like, I'm so embarrassed. Now, first of all, you go like, I set the kitchen on fire. Now, you didn't. You had
harder.
You had a boil over where you had a little bit of smouldering coming off the boil over. We've had people set kitchens on fire.
Yep.
Right? That's a thing that's happened. So you didn't do that. So don't panic about that one for a start. Mm-hmm. Secondly, and far more importantly, everyone's had something boil over.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
So, please just let that embarrassment flow because, shit happens.
Let it go. Let it out.
Let it
leave.
go.
Let it, as Frozen the musical probably sings, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Just so long, farewell, I'll be a single.
And far more importantly, that was where Anne came up and was able to sort of do a really good job of getting him in there. And then
the moment of the night for me.
So Rafficat comes up and just goes, what do you need help? And just starts piping the extra one for him to get him finished.
Absolutely.
It was just so selfless. And again, it's what Bake Off does.
Yeah.
And it was just unbelievable. There was no call.
No.
And then Rafficat later on, when they're watching the pouring, and they got a great, one of my favourite shots I think of any series I've ever seen, is the shot of Rafficat pouring her mirror glaze.
Yeah.
And Anne just over the back watching like this going, this is better than therapy.
Yes. It's that pour acrylic moment. It's just like
it's the oddly satisfying. It's the oddly satisfying moment.
Like how cool is that? Like Alan and Anne, I was telling them last week how like fucking amazing this job would be. You get bakes, but you also get to play around and be happy. And now you're getting to watch pouring. Like it's amazing, like live pouring. It's like being the queen, dairy queen, and just going, I want some pouring. It's like, no, I don't want those YouTube clips. Get me it live. And so, out with the jugglers and in with the pouring people.
It's like Pippin. Anyway, so Rafficat and the judging, so they said it was understated elegance. Mm-hmm. And they said it was very tasty. They said the cake tasted like it looked. It looked like hazelnut. It tasted like hazelnut. Mahaffey, with hers.
Waterfalls.
The waterfalls looked amazing. The waterfalls, yes, she did chase waterfalls. I love, it was the touch of the edible moss. I really adored that. The colours were amazing. And
look, the banana let you down.
Yeah, they said the banana was a bit wet, but it looked incredible.
Yeah. It was wet. It was a waterfall. That's why it was wet.
She should have done that. Why didn't you say that? I didn't think.
So Angela's just gone, like a revolution, it's a bit messy.
Whenever they say to you, is that what you meant? The answer is yes.
Of course the banana's wet. It's in a fucking waterfall.
So Dominique, they just said it was simple but delicious, but it was very simple and that you need to do more. Tanner, they said the top layer was perfect, but once again, the banana layer was gummy.
Again,
I wanted to make it.
Lilies.
I wanted to make it out of gummy bananas. Yeah, right. I like lolly bananas. I made them gummy.
They were Monet's favourite. Monet was a bandit for gummy bananas.
They said that.
They
said that Maggie's lemon curd in particular had a great tang, and they really liked the flavours and the design. Bertie, they said the flavours were really good. Yeah. So, you could clearly tell that they were like...
And his mirror glaze looks so pretty.
As he said, there's no jazz hands.
Yeah. We'll do them for you, Bertie.
We'll do them for you. They said that the maple and the coconut was something they'd never had before with Larry's, and the flavours were really good. Yeah. And again, Giza's obviously the mixture.
the PB and
PB
and B.
Anjali, they said the ginger would have been a safe cake except for the fact that peppercorn made it, in Kyla's words, wow. Mm-hmm. Sheldon, they said it was captivating, but the mirror glaze was kind of hiding at the bottom. There was gaps. Yes. Then they cut into it and they said
I'm sure that they were also like, there's not enough labia.
Oh, 100%.
Let's just put it out there.
The large tier was also
underbaked.
And it needed more jelly, which is also kind of apropos. And Oyaks, finally, they said it looked very Studio 54. Let's talk about it. So, I have never seen a mirror glaze that looked like that. It looked like he had just foil wrapped the cake.
Yep, it was spectacular. And the edges on it, it's beautiful.
It was unbelievable the way they did it.
Expensive.
It looked like one of those ones you would see at a very expensive party where they've spent, tens of thousands of dollars on the cake.
For RuPaul. I'm just imagining RuPaul just going, I want my disco queens. And then this cake comes out and they're like, yes, this is the spirit of 54.
I want a Studio 54 cake with cocaine in the middle. Allegedly.
And Oyax is like, I will not pop the cocaine in, but I'll give you cake cane with that sugar cane in it.
It's like a drug. It's more like a drug with the drugs. Anyway, so Oyax was top, and that was easy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm going to sing, and Bertie, you know what spirit I'm singing this in. I've been waiting all night to do this one.
Oh my God, he has.
Bye, bye, Bertie. Gee, we're gonna miss you so. We'll cry, Bertie. Why'd you have to go? I love this episode. I've been sad to see Bertie go, but I've loved the Broadway element of this. He's just a Broadway Bertie. And look, I'm so pleased that he got the chance to be in there. I'm so pleased we got the chance to meet him.
Yep.
And again, I hope this isn't the last that we hear from him.
No, that'd be lovely to have a chat.
It's been a really good first episode.
Oh, loved it. You know, great start.
I think everyone immediately kicked into gear. It can't be easy coming back from a hiatus for a start. COVID. A longer hiatus than normal because of COVID, trying to work out how to do a show like this in COVID, right? I think they've done an amazing job to get this show out and up and running, and they talked about at the end there, they talk about all the precautions they've taken, and again, all over their social media today, they've demonstrated all of the different steps they took to make sure, things like there was no hugging, there were no, all those sorts of things.
We saw Oyax and Alan, just like the distance elbow bump.
And that was it. So that's kind of going to do you for this episode.
Yeah.
Next episode is Bread Week.
Ooh-hoo.
Always a favourite. There are pretzels, which is going to be a favourite of yours. You're a bandit for a pretzel.
I love pretzels.
You are a bandit for a pretzel. And of course, later on this week...
Yes.
Kyla
Keneally,
I'm so excited to have that conversation.
Oh, she's going to be a breath of fresh air.
Can't wait. So until later on when we come back to you, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later.
Bye, bye, Bertie.